Alright, to fix this tech, I'm going to show you how to install your clicky DS Lite buttons, flex buttons. So what you want to do is strip down your DS Lite to like this. There's a link in the description with the blog post, and I'll have a link to a teardown iFixit guide that'll show you how to strip it down to this. You want to take it all off, take the screen off, and then you'll be ready to continue. So what you want to do, the most important part about this is that the buttons line up on top of where the old buttons, sort of where they go to, because then otherwise if you don't line them up correctly you won't get a nice satisfying clickiness. So what I do is for the D-pad, start with the D-pad side, what I do is get a pen. If you see in the middle here, you can sort of see there's like a faint circle which is like the middle, this is the exact middle there. So if you just colour that in slightly smaller than the circle, like so, and then you can line up this so that you'll exactly get it in the middle, because you don't really, you know, these will line up, these test points, the solder points will line up, but you're not really that concerned about them as long as you can see each one has got one underneath it, because they will line up pretty much sort of perfectly. What you're more concerned about is getting this lined up with the other old buttons. So once you're happy with it, line it up, get your soldering iron. What I normally do is just solder this one down here, just a little blob of solder to it, and then just double check that everything looks the way it should be, and you're happy with the placement. You can also see you know, some of the gold through these contacts, all these contacts. Once you're happy with that, you solder the other ones in place. If you're doing this on a DS Lite, you only want to solder points PT1, 2, 3, 4 and 6, which are marked on the silk screen here. You want to leave the other ones because they're basically each test point is for each button, and then there's one for the ground. So that's 5 points you want to do. If you're doing it on a making a Game Boy macro, you just solder all the points, all of them, just solder them all. I've even included this little point here if you want to put a speaker on. This is the positive. Solder your speaker positive onto here, and then you want your negative leg onto one of these 4 points on your charge, because that's the because you cut, if you solder, I was going to have another thing so you could solder it onto the actual board, but it wouldn't boot that way. So right, once that's done, you're happy with that in place, move on to the other side. This is very similar way you want to do it is basically solder, get it in place. You want to put it around your Hall effect sensor in the middle. You want to kind of line that up perfectly. If you're happy where the button placements are, you can also use like the membrane as well. Once you just tack it in place in one of the solder points, have a look at it, maybe even get your thingy, put it on there. You can also like use your shell, take all the buttons out, and you can put it over the top, and that'll tell you that they are actually in the middle. I'll show you now actually. So basically what you want to do is once it's in place and it's soldered down in one place, you put this over the top, and then if you can see the buttons through right through the holes, that means you're in the right place. With this one, with this side, there wasn't anywhere to solder to ground to that was close enough to have the board not be dead bit large. So basically it comes with a pre-attached enamel wire, and you can solder that to the other side of this board, this little square pad here. This is your ground. This is also ground, but it also will get in the way of your hinge. Part of your hinge goes there, so you don't want it to be a tight fit, and otherwise it will, even though it's really thin enamel wire, it'll still have a little bump there and it won't quite sit perfectly. I pre-tinned the actual end of the enamel wire so that you just solder it on like normal, just treat it like a normal wire. It is solid core, so you can kind of place it around stuff and it'll stay where it is. But yeah, once you soldered all of them in, assemble your DS Lite back to your Game Boy macro, and then I put a link to some software that'll do button testing. Make sure you attach your touchscreen layer, because there's the diagnostic software you need to use the touchscreen, which is a bit annoying, but it's the only one that I found that's really good. Once I test it all out, test them, If you're happy with all the buttons working, that's great. Button it back up again. But if you're not, just go over the little solder points, whichever one is not thinking it'll be correspondent to the one on there, and just give them a little touch up. They might just need a little extra little solder joint, but then that's it really. To reassemble it and enjoy your unit.